Welcome back. Okay, let's just dive right in. Today, we're looking at one of the most spectacular corporate survival stories of our time. And to really get it, I want you to look at BlackBerry not as some dead phone maker from a bygone era, but as the main character of a massive comeback thriller. This explainer is going to take us through a wild narrative of near-death, total reinvention, and a deeply hidden empire.
We've got to start this narrative at rock bottom. Picture it, January 2007. Steve Jobs is standing on stage, brandishing the sleek touchscreen of the very first iPhone to a roaring crowd, literally mocking the tactile keyboard that made BlackBerry famous. It was the moment that publicly spelled the end of BlackBerry's hardware dominance. But, to really understand the gravity of that drop, we have to remember that at its peak, BlackBerry was an absolute titan. I mean, they held a staggering 56% of the US smartphone market and commanded an $80 billion market cap. Their rise was nothing short of legendary.
But wow, the fall was equally breathtaking. Within just a few years of that infamous Apple keynote, the market watched this industry giant stock value just completely plummet by 90%. 90%. To the rest of the world, watching it looked like the definitive end of the line.
Section 1. A shocking financial comeback. Okay, let's fast forward to today, because over a decade of incredibly quiet pivoting has suddenly yielded results that have totally shocked investors and breathed life back into this fallen giant. The magic number? $1.7 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. In the grand scheme of big tech, $1.7 million might seem like absolute pocket change. But in the context of our comebacks thriller for BlackBerry, this is the climax of a grueling, years-long turnaround. Here's why. That $1.7 million represents BlackBerry's free cash flow, and this brilliantly illustrates exactly why investors are so hyped right now. Free cash flow is the actual money you have sitting in the bank after you've paid every conceivable business cost. We're talking manufacturing, taxes, loan interest, capital expenditure, the whole shebang. It's a massive, vital health indicator that proves you finally have money to spare to reinvest or return to investors. So the crucial takeaway here is that this seemingly small $1.7 million marks the very first time in 9 long years that BlackBerry has held a positive cash flow position. Almost a decade of just bleeding cash is finally over. The size of the number doesn't even really matter. What matters is that it's finally actually positive. And if you look at the rest of their Q1 highlights, they paint the exact same picture of a revitalized business. Revenue? Up 26% year over year to $153 million. Their net income has literally more than tripled. And the market reacted so aggressively to this milestone, sending BlackBerry's stock jumping 20% in a single day. Section 2. The Engine. QNX Software. So, how exactly did a supposedly dead phone company actually pull this off? Well, to understand it, we need to pull back the curtain on the invisible empire keeping them alive, starting with an operating system called QNX. Now, QNX is an operating system kind of like Windows or Mac OS, but with one massive difference. It is designed exclusively for systems that absolutely cannot crash, lag, or fail under any circumstances whatsoever. Think about it. If your laptop crashes, well, it's annoying. But if your car's emergency braking system crashes, that's a disaster. That strict reliability embeds BlackBerry invisibly into our everyday world. They likely power the car you drive right now, running in over 275 million vehicles from Ford, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz. Their software is running surgical equipment, managing power plant operations, assisting in space travel, and, get this, even running the operating systems in Germany's TKMS military patrol submarines. It is everywhere.
And here is the financial beauty of this engine. Because the actual cost of licensing this software is incredibly small for BlackBerry, they get to enjoy a massive 86% profit margin. 86%. On top of that, car companies are buying more and more development licenses, which means they are paying BlackBerry upfront today to build future car models around this software tomorrow. Section 3. The Shield. Secure Suite Encryption. If QNX is the engine driving the survival narrative, their next product is the Shield. Secure Suite is an incredibly exclusive encryption software built specifically for high-security government communications. We're talking about securing heavy hitters like the US Air Force, the entire Canadian government, and the UK's National Crime Agency. As global defense spending has ramped up, these clients are renewing their sovereign cybersecurity contracts for longer and longer periods. It has beautifully and quietly stabilized BlackBerry's revenue stream.
Section 4. The Nokia Pivot Playbook. To fully grasp the narrative arc of this transformation, it's really helpful to look at another fallen mobile giant that successfully pivoted away from the brink. For both Blackberry and Nokia, early success in the telephone industry actually became a sort of curse. It made executives complacent to a rapidly changing market. But just like Nokia escaped mobile death by retreating into the physical infrastructure of cell networks, selling cell tower antennas and base stations, BlackBerry retreated into the invisible software infrastructure of our high-stakes technology. They both survived by becoming the unseen backbone of the modern world. What's absolutely crucial to understand here is that this wasn't just some sudden lucky bet. No, this was a deliberate, sustained corporate strategy. If you trace their timeline, back in 2010, while they were still widely known as a dominant phone company, they quietly bought QNX for $200 million. 4 years later, they bought the encryption provider that would eventually become SecureSuite. By not putting all their eggs in one basket, they were laying the groundwork for this exact comeback years in advance. Leading much of this charge was former CEO John Chen. Now, Chen openly called the smartphone market boring and used to complain that clients only saw them as a phone company. Yet he deliberately refused to rebrand. He flat out stated, only weak companies change their names in the middle of a turnaround. He stubbornly leaned right into the company's legacy instead of running away from it. Section 5. The same core DNA. And that stubbornness leads us to the grand twist of our story today. BlackBerry never actually changed what they were selling. It is the exact same core DNA. Whether it was the classic 5810 phone that changed the world in your pocket, or modern QNX and SecureSuite software running military operations, sure, the physical product couldn't look more different. But the core selling point, it has always remained exactly the same. Constant connection and unbreakable security. They didn't change the mission, they just shifted the vessel. It leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end our explainer on today. If embracing your original identity, your foundational DNA, is the true secret to surviving a corporate near-death experience, who might be the next giant to rise from the ashes? The next invisible comeback might already be quietly building right under our noses.